Okay, picking up on question 25. How did yellow journalism affect the Spanish-American War? So William Randolph Hearst and Joseph Pulitzer were two newspaper publishers who were competing to sell papers. And what they did was they exaggerated some of the stories about the Spanish mistreatment of the Cubans, which we refer to as yellow journalism, which really helped turn public opinion against the Spanish and in favor of the Cubans, which helps lead the public to favor going to war with Spain. 26, the Spanish-American War showed that a canal through Central America would be useful. So naval power proved to be very, very important to the U.S. To help them win the Spanish-American War. And it showed that traveling between the Atlantic and Pacific quickly and easily was very important. So the U.S. decided to basically dig a canal through Panama to connect those oceans, which helps them, again, to continue to act imperialistic and expand their influence around the world. 27, what were the three territories the U.S. got from Spain after the war? The Philippines, Puerto Rico, and Guam were all gained by the United States. 28, why is the Platt Amendment to the Cuban Constitution imperialistic? So the Platt Amendment, which was put in place after the Spanish-American War, did not give the U.S. total control over Cuba, but it did give the United States control over the foreign relations of Cuba. So again, it shows the U.S. extending their influence over another country. 29, there were arguments both for and against keeping the Philippines as a territory after the Spanish-American War. Some of the arguments for keeping the Philippines were a desire for more business opportunity in Asia, a kind of paternalistic concern. The Filipinos couldn't take care of themselves. The desire to get the Philippines before somebody else did, especially another European country. And finally, access to a naval base on the other side of the world. Some of the arguments against keeping the Philippines was that people thought it was morally wrong to control another country. The Philippines were very, very far away. And that finally, people were against incorporating non-white people into the United States. 30, what was the Roosevelt Corollary and how did it relate to the Monroe Doctrine? So to review, the Monroe Doctrine, issued in 1823, stated European powers should stay out of the Western Hemisphere. The Roosevelt Corollary basically added the threat of force to the Monroe Doctrine and established the United States as the police power in the Western Hemisphere. 31, President Taft pushed for dollar diplomacy. The idea behind dollar diplomacy is that the U.S. would use our economic power and our business influence over other countries to kind of extend our imperialism around the rest of the world. Number 32, what was the open door policy and why did the U.S. want this policy? So the open door policy pushed for the United States to have access to trade in Asia, especially in China. And the reason we wanted this was because China obviously is a huge country, and there were a lot of opportunities to sell goods and both to acquire natural resources in China and in Asia overall. All right, 33. What were the causes of World War I? One was militarism, or the buildup of armies in Europe and the United States. A stands for the system of alliances that existed, where if one country went to war, other countries would join the fight as well. I stands for imperialism. There was a lot of competition among these countries to acquire colonies overseas. And finally, nationalism, which is the intense kind of pride in your country and the push for greatness led these countries to have intense rivalries, which helps lead to war. Finally, the spark that sort of set things off was the assassination to the heir of the Austro-Hungarian throne. His name was Franz Ferdinand, by a Serbian nationalist. But initially, when the war broke out, the official stance of the United States was neutrality. We did not want to get involved. 34, explain some reasons why the U.S. began to favor the Allied powers. So the three main reasons here were the economic relationships the United States had with the Allied countries, especially Great Britain and France. Germany's use of unrestricted submarine warfare against American ships. And finally, the interception of the Zimmerman telegram or Zimmerman note that was sent from Germany to Mexico, basically trying to get Mexico to attack the United States with a German promise that they would help Mexico reacquire territories lost to America. That will end video number 3. We'll pick back up with the last one.